Hello, everybody. I am back with my main man, Dave, my mate Dave. Sorry, that's from a skit in a UK program. You might not get all the Americans out there and Europeans. Yeah, I'm with Dave Hawkins from Made by Dave, Squarespace agency in the UK, and we're going to be talking today all about Squarespace community and our careers and how we got started, and just thought it might be quite a nice informal chatty way to end the day. And again, I'm just going to say thank you so much, Squarespace, for making this a free event for everybody and the recordings for a whole month afterwards. Yeah, so because I think they saw that last year, the community that I created, or we've all created here, and all of the speakers just giving up their time because we just want to share our knowledge. And I think one of the people from Squarespace approached me and saying they love community and they wanted to be involved and how could they help. And here we are. How is everybody doing? 142 people still. That's pretty phenomenal live that we've still got that number so late in the day, because this has been, it's been a long day. I hopefully people have been able to eat. I wolfed down a tomato soup for my dinner, and I put on the new Kate Hudson thing on Netflix for 10 minutes whilst I was eating it. And yeah, it's been a long one, and I just wanted to thank you all for being here. And Dave, I think have you been like here all day, maybe working and just
working and dropping
in and out and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's nice as well for some of them, because I've been on the phone and stuff, like I've been connecting. So I'm looking forward to maybe going back and watching some of them. I think I'll watch Sarah's again with those prompts for the email stuff, because that, when it like connected, I was like, oh God, that is really good.
There's been some absolute gems. There was a little quote that Phil said that was like, "We've all got to be students in the new frontier of technology," and I was like, "Oh, that's a good one. That's some really interesting," and just like loads of other little nuggets as well going along.
Yeah, so good. And I loved like, oh God, there's so much. I loved loads of the design stuff as well. Anyway, I feel like I'm just chatting to you like we're not actually live to talk. But I'm hoping everybody finds it fun and stuff. So, and also I'd love to know like a little bit more if people can put in like where they're coming from in the world and stuff. I always find that quite interesting. We had some really cool places earlier, like Morocco
Absolutely.
and Mexico and stuff like that. Okay, Dave, let's start with a little Canada, San Fran. I went to San Fran just before the pandemic. Like literally got home in February and then it's shut down. USA, Florida. I went there when I was a little girl to Disneyland, OBS. Okay. Oh, North Carolina, that's somewhere I really want to go. Okay. So thank you all, and Philly, thank you all for being here. I'm waffling now. Dave, introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, as Liz said, founded Made by Dave, which is a Squarespace UK agency. Been running it now for 10 years. So, yeah, it's been quite the opportunity. And in that time, built like over 500 websites, clocked about 15,000 hours like on the platform. So, in that sense, it's like wanting to really invest and become like the master of one platform, one system. Also, obviously, we're both community leaders, which for those who don't know, we essentially have the ability to take things that we've heard within the
Change
community
Squarespace.
and then like help inform the product and what happens, and then be able to almost speak on behalf of others in the community as well for that. So that's and then did a course as well. It's run through a second business called Squarehead. And so that's a course and has a bunch of courses that a couple are in the pipeline, learning and essentially just taking the knowledge that we've built and gained over the years from loads of different sources and then just bringing it together. So that's a little summary about me. Do you want to say anything more? Like,
I was saying that's not a summary about me if we're talking about tech stuff. So whereas like I was talking earlier about Sarah being my help with like tech stuff in general, Dave is my go-to man for Squarespace tech stuff. So we are very different. I think, in the fact that Dave stacks projects and works with, I don't know, so much corporate, but definitely more corporate people than I do.
Mhm.
I've had my web design business for just over 7 years now. As I've said earlier, I was a fashion designer and worked for a fashion designer for 10 years. And then I got into personal development, started loving life coaches and all that sort of jazz, and started designing websites for them. And I love my business. I work on the model, which I think is quite popular, like a 2-week design model, and just work with one client at a time. I love interacting with my clients. I'll have 2-hour calls with my clients and just find out all about their lives. And I had a really cool one with a medium recently, and she was like telling me my future, which was a bit, and some of it's happened. And yeah, so I'm much more involved with my clients and the branding as well process. And yeah, so I go to Dave for tech stuff. And we'll talk about this later, but we're in the UK WhatsApp group, and anybody here that's in the UK will give you the info and stuff about that later. But Dave's always in there. If somebody's got a question, Dave will try and find the answer or know it. And he's just very helpful. So I think when you're talking about this new course, Squarehead, I think that's really exciting because you're always, I just know if I had a platform, I would never have a course teaching like tech stuff. But if I did, I'd be like, oh God, something new's happened. Whereas I think you enjoy it, and that would be updated in 5 minutes. So I know that it'll be a great course. So, like, how did you get started on the platform, Dave?
Um, I was working for a international not-profit, and so I was then like running their global setup, and they had about 60 offices around the world. And I came into the role when they were just going through a rebrand, and as part of it, they needed websites to be updated because they were on all sorts of different platforms, and there was a complete mishmash. And so Squarespace was actually chosen to be the platform of choice. And so then I started looking at it and then thinking, oh, actually, I've been after like a creative outlet to go and do things. And so one thing led to another. And I said to a friend of mine, oh, could I come and build a website for you? And they're like, okay, sure, fine. And so one website turned into 8 websites that was all free, like pro bono work, because I saw that different people had different needs who essentially couldn't afford like a web designer. But I, on the other hand, wanted to get the experience. So that was my like initial inlet into building sites, and then semi dabbling, but just letting other people have like I'm just learning on the job for it. What was your like introduction?
Yes, so you again, polar opposite. So it was quite safe for you
Mhm.
because you had a full-time job and you were
Yeah.
learning these skills and stuff, like, as you were, like, in quite a safe position. Because again, Kelsey's talk was really good about, like, when to leave or start your job. I was the jump and the net will catch you person. When at this time, I was talking about personal development, and I know Will Smith might not be after the bitch slap on stage and stuff, but I used to watch so many videos with Will Smith and him saying, "I might not be the most talented, but I work hard." And he had this one thing where he talked about, like, there is no plan B. There is just plan A, and there's no plan B. And I think I was like, I had an idea of that I was gonna do the web design and I was gonna do it for coaches and stuff. I'd never designed a website for a coach or anything at this point, but I knew that I could. I don't know what I was thinking. And I think it's because I had had some coaching. My coaching was saying, "Look, my coach said you should do this web design thing. You'll be brilliant at it." I'd only ever in Squarespace created a portfolio, which I think a lot of us did back in the day, to show my textile print design work. And I think for about 6 years, I was every weekend, my friends would say, "Are you free?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm doing my portfolio." And I created this website in Squarespace, and I thought this is really easy to use, and I can be really creative. So yeah, so I just left my job, and I didn't really have much savings, to be honest. And then I did my coach's website, and she had and I paid a lot of money to work with this coach, eye-watering thousands of pounds. I never told my parents or anybody until I actually started, because of the investment I made with her, She then referred, and I did her site for free. She referred so many people to me in my first month of proper business after quitting my job and having no, they asked me if I wanted to do stuff with them afterwards, and I was like, no, just to get a bit of money. Cause I was like, if I stay in the game, I won't ever go fully in with this. So I didn't do anything with them. And then I earned my half yearly annual salary in my first month of business. And I was like, brilliant. And I reckon that client, and I'm just going to be really honest, I spent 10 grand with this coach, right? It was like insane money. And that was like a third of my salary at the time. I got a loan. And I know that might sound really irresponsible, but like I was like all in mentality. And from that client, I reckon I've had about 150 grand, if not more, from clients from her because she referred great clients to me. And then those people did great clients. And I see some clients as whales. So you get a whale client and they're like, you don't often get a whale. And a whale is a beautiful client that you get that has like loads of people below them that are in there at the top of the pyramid and they can refer people to you. And I don't try and do it too strategically, or I do it like if where my heart goes. So that's where it went with that coach. But I think, we had some points we wanted to talk about in this talk. And one of mine, like talking about the insights in our careers and like things we've learned along the way, I was like, oh, this is easy. I'm going to make so much money. And I didn't know anything about marketing in my business before. That wasn't my job role. And then I was like, never had depression or felt depressed in my life. September of that same year, I started my business in the January. I felt depressed for the first time. I was like, oh my God, like, I can't pay my bills this month. And I was just floundering. I felt like a fish out of water when you're just like, oh, I've got to market. I've got to do marketing. I don't know what I'm doing. Am I not always going to get referrals from clients? And like, how do I find these people? And I just found myself in quite a feast and famine roller coaster for quite a few years, to be honest, because I never quite found what that marketing thing was. So I think how you did it was safe and like brilliant. And you had a family and a wife and stuff. And, she said you're not going full time or something, right? Until,
Yeah, so I basically built up 3 months worth of my day job salary to
sensible.
then dump the net, or that. And it was a case of, okay, because invoices don't necessarily get paid that frequently, like every month, and there'll be an overlap of things. So it was like, okay, I've got that pot that then I can dip into, but also just keep building it up over time. And yeah, in that sense, it was a side hustle for actually 8 years that then I flipped into a day job that's now been running for the last 2 years, and we've just grown and scaled along the way.
Yeah, I think when I'm talking about like the marketing thing, you've steadily built up something. So what I had was like, rather than you're like, how can I pay my bills this month? You're like, I can pay my bills because I've got a job. And then this is like extra stuff and building a reputation and a referral system. Whereas I've been building a reputation and a referral system, but nothing to fall back on, sort of thing. And single. So I've not had a partner supporting or anything like that. And it was only for me, I think personal development, I am quite spiritual and a bit woo as well, as my parents might call it. And I think I got to the end of my 5th year in business and I was like, I don't know if I can do this up and down all the time. It's really, really hard. And I remember, I don't know if I spoke about, I might have said this last year or something, but I remember a job came up for a brand that I really liked. And it wasn't fashion so much, but it was a bit more like designing. And I thought I'd love that. And it was 40 grand. And I remember thinking, no, I can earn a bit more with web design, but I'm not, because some months I'm not getting anything. And some months I'm having 10 grand months. And some months I'm like not making any money because I didn't do the traditional marketing of SEO like Christy did for 9 months and it took off. Like I just wasn't very good with consistency. And it's just not my personality type. And and then I applied for that job and I told my mum and dad, and I thought my parents, because I'm very close with them, I thought they'd be so relieved for me and they'd be like, oh, finally, we don't need to worry about Elizabeth. I'm not going to get emotional now, but they were like, "What are you doing? Absolutely do not do that." My dad's had his own business for years. My mum worked for somebody, and they were like, "You should be so proud of yourself that you've done this. You've supported yourself." And I know it seems silly. Most people are like, "Yeah, but you're an adult." But they were like, "You did this on your own, and you've just got to keep on going." And one of the books that I read way back in the day, Napoleon Hill, How to Be Rich or something, and he spoke about the gold miners. And you just that one hit away from the gold mine. And I think that was my moment. And I continued, and the next year, it was just like the Truman Show. It just felt like this thing, the Matrix, it just fell apart. And I just realized I spoke to another designer that's like me, an intuitive designer, and she was just like, I made 85 grand just from referral clients a year. And I was like, oh, it's okay to just have referral clients. I don't have to be, it's the automations I talked about earlier. Like I had to get to top, I had to do everything else. And actually, when I did me, it worked.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I realized that I don't need to be doing all of this. I only keep Instagram just to show I'm in business and give helpful tips, but I don't do it to grow my clientele.
Mhm.
I do these community events, I do connection, I do networking, and I'm like, that's my zone of genius. That's my power. Referral. And a lot of web designers, I think, will all say, so many of us, a referral. Sorry, I feel like I've been going on a lot here, but it's
Right.
literally as soon as that happened, I had like my first 6K year, just 100 grand, right? And the year before I'd had 43,
Mhm.
I think. And it just went like that. And it's steady, it's staying. But I just want to say to anybody, things along the way, it can be tough. It's not like these overnight successes, I think, both of us in different ways that we've done it. Me a bit more uncomfortably. But it can be tough having your own business, but God, I wouldn't change it. I don't know about you. Like,
No, yeah, absolutely love it. And whenever people would ask me like what I did when I had my other day job, that wouldn't be the topic of conversation. It would be what I'm up to now. And it was like that was just what was my driver and my what gave me energy. And I think that yeah, things that I've learned along the way was things like just enjoy what you want to do, and that there are elements that you can delegate and pass to somebody else because that's someone else that has a different type of passion, that whether that be from like doing finances or doing administration or things equivalent to that. Yeah, it's the ability to like delegate and do that knowing that you're putting your skills and the things that you can do for the business like at the forefront, and then there are skills that other people have or that you can teach and train up, and
I
then you
think
can pass to them.
you're really good at that because I do speak to some people and I feel like they're like, "Oh, I've just built this like juggernaut and I'm not doing what I want to do." Whereas you do actually design a lot still, even
Mhm.
though you've got like lots of people working, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have contractors and stuff and some full time, I think. But yeah, I think that is important for all of us to do what we do. And for me, I remember I had a boyfriend for a little while a few years ago, and he was like saying, "Well, you just need to train some more people up and get them to do that." I'm like, "Yeah, but then I'm not doing what I love doing."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is for me, it's the designing. But and I think there are like quite a few of us on here that like talking with our clients. Like I spoke earlier in Promise and Becca's chat about how a friend of mine has got a consultancy business and she's also sells digital products. The digital product is more profitable. And I'm like, well, why don't you go like really hard on that and stop the consultancy? And she's like, because I like talking with my consultants. I like having a team and people that
Mhm.
I can be around. Whereas I'd hate that. But my team are my designers and my clients, right? And then you've got the introverts of the world that like using markup and not having to use them. And anybody that doesn't know what markup is, it's basically you can upload your website and the client can just click saying, can you make this type bigger? Or I don't like this here, and there's little markers. I've explained
Oh,
that well, haven't I, Dave?
you
Yeah.
have, but also it is the best, but it's also going to ramp up their prices by 170%. Shout out to another organization called Workflow, so it's workflow.design, and they have basically got the exact same of markup and a whole load more things. And it is brilliant for a fraction of the price. And so if you are a current markup user, then definitely, thanks, Kezia, jump into Workflow because you're very much be set up for success.
Yeah, and I think for me with Squarespace, why I like that, and I'm not into all of the other platforms or something and to do feedback and stuff, because I like doing it with my client live on a call, because then I don't have to deal with all of the admin afterwards. And it's just, and also I love that I can show my client whilst I'm in the back end and stuff of their site how easy Squarespace is to use. And I think that's what like Promise was saying why she used Squarespace and moved over to that, because it's so easy to use for clients. And like when they're in there, I think mine are like, oh, is it all I need to do is that and just click in there? I'm like, yes, it's that easy. And I never have any issues from any of mine, like just saying like, how do I use it or not? So want to talk a little bit about the forum. I don't know. Oh, are we gonna be we're nearly popping into Q&A time. I'm gonna give us a couple more minutes. So how I got into meeting all of these people and going on their Instagrams and making them my friends and stuff, and at Circle Day and starting the London meetup group and stuff. I did all of that because I found them through blogs and stuff. And now that I'm way more active in the Circle community in the forum and stuff. I'm not that chatty in there, but I'm more like a presence from doing things like this, and I'm a community leader. Like I've been like looking so much recently, like in the past year, of everything that you can get in the forum. And there is so much chats. Like I know Christy's just done like a really informative processes chat, Circle Live. They have so many of the OGs coming in, presenting, people from their team, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And there's like so much information in there that I feel like I never quite knew about
Mm.
that is available. And I would just say to anybody that is a new web designer here, like Squarespace are introducing this new platform, this new tier system about how you can become a Circle member. And it's basically you just have to be an admin on one site, which I'm sure all of you are. And you can go in there and you can go into the forum. And I think everybody can go in the forum. I don't know how many sites, but when you
I think
are,
it's zero actually. I think they've
oh, okay.
reduced the barrier to entry. So it used to be you had to have 3 sites. Now it's zero to be a silver partner. And you can then get a few perks as well and then build up some more. And I think it wouldn't take much to jump up to gold, where that's the equivalent of what a Circle member currently is. And then there's a layer on top of that, which is platinum. But yeah, in that sense, yeah, making it really easy and the silver level, then it's almost like a no-brainer.
Okay, I can see Andrea saying that, yeah, you can get into Circle already. So you can go into the forum, you can type in there. There's some really hardcore Circle members that always answer your chat, and you can just ask for coding questions rather than going in Google. Go into there and you can ask them experts, and you'll see Dave popping up in there all the time, and Christy and loads of other people. And there's loads of videos and little courses and stuff like that, and it's amazing. And also what's great about Circle is you can start earning money from like having referrals and having like when you sign website people up, or like any of my clients now, I get a kickback from introducing them to Squarespace and using that as my platform. So yeah, go check out the forum a little bit more. We spoke briefly. I don't know how to get like people in the UK WhatsApp chat or whatever. Like, I don't know if people probably might not want to put their number in here, but if you want to, feel free to email me. I'm going to be probably a bit slack on the admin for like, I'll get to you in a week or so. But send me your email, your telephone number if you want to be a part of the UK WhatsApp, because that's just a really supportive community. We do a London meetup. You're taking over that a little bit more now, Dave. And yeah, I would just say get involved. I'm just wondering if there's anything else helpful. If I was starting out as a beginner, I would say, oh, I know what I'm going to tell you. This is going to be my last piece. You think about what your last helpful piece of advice is. And
Sure.
guys, we're going to be 10 minutes of the Q&A to all the speakers that are around. My piece of I feel like I've lost it now. My piece of advice would be pick your clientele and your niche. People talk about niching and it can be anybody and everybody. And that's true. Fine. But I love working with coaches because I know that they know that it's an investment. They invest in their coaching qualifications. They know that they're normally a professional that's had a corporate job maybe, and they've become like a career coach or something like that. So they know that they're happy to invest in something. Okay, I don't want this to be a dig too much, but like I find that sometimes people in the arts, maybe like an artist that maybe is not super successful yet or something, just financially might struggle a little bit more to pay. And I find that when you are starting in your career, it would be a really good idea to pick a niche or an audience that has money. Like why you might work with corporate companies is because they've got loads of money to pay you. So yes, start with your friends and family, but if you're trying to build a portfolio, maybe build a portfolio towards a clientele that have got money. If you're interested in restaurants or something, maybe pick. If I was going to start my business again and I was going to pick a niche, I would pick the wedding industry, because like anybody in the wedding industry, like when you're a bride, you know you've got to pay loads for the flowers, for the photographer, for this. So the photographer is getting paid well, and they'll be like, I'm going to get paid, so I'm going to hire a really good website designer. Or like a food catering company in the wedding industry, they're like getting paid. So I would be really like thoughtful about that. So okay, artists are my niche, and I am definitely finding they don't have any money. I don't mean to be unkind, but be very thoughtful about that, because if you're struggling and they're struggling and then they're like saying, oh, I don't know if I can pay you, is it really that much? Whereas if you're working with my coach and I'm saying all the value I'm going to deliver them, then they're like, yeah, of course I'm going to pay you. Yeah, artists were my first niche, experience the same. I think you'll get that. I think you might get that as well with sometimes people in the fitness industry. I'm just going to say it, a bit controversial, all of this, but it's true.
Well, shall
Oh,
I give you the opposite side? So, in that sense, like the niche is Squarespace, and that
you
for
want
me,
to
it was like I would get bored if I started building the same sites like over and over. And we've had lawyers who are sites we built for, one for the NHS, we did one for city council, like an international not for profit, a bank as well, like an up and coming UK bank, like a whole variety of things. Solo entrepreneurs, like it was so varied, and that then from there, you spoke about that sort of like whale. We worked with like a mega church as well, and so happened to drop our like our website name in the footer. I reckon 40 websites we built from the fact that our website was happened to be in the footer from there, which got the like the flywheel spinning. And but my other things, if I was like when I was first starting out, I don't know if anyone's mentioned Ghost plugins, but Cody and the team are absolute geniuses, and that was my first like thing in terms of how can I do something. Like I'm a technical person, but I'm not a developer, and so I'm just a designer that likes messing around with code. And so how can I take something that some others have put together and how can I just manipulate it and almost then work backwards and saying how was this done and then do that. So that would be one of my like first things. And I almost have a little toolkit as well. Will Myers, shout out to him, and I spotted that Abby's here as well. The amount of stuff that he's provided
Oh, he's a
is
legend, isn't he?
brilliant. Then
We're going to have to wrap up because we're like running nearly 15 minutes over. But I really like this question. So I'm going to ask it to a few of the other people in there, because I think there are lots of advice that we might give as well about niching maybe. I have loved this chat with you. I hope everybody has.
Absolutely.
I feel like we've been quite honest about our journeys and stuff,
Mhm.
and hopefully helpful. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. And we're going to go on the Q&A. And yeah, go. We love Squarespace, and
Absolutely.
go join the forum. Anybody can be a circle member. Please sign up. Go on their website after the talks today, and just see how you can become a circle member. And I'll give you more information in the last. I'm going to give you an email about the recordings and saying thank you to Squarespace and like how to get into the circle info. Okay. Bye,
Cool.
guys. I'll see you in the Q&A. I'll see you in the second Q&A, Dave.
Yes.
Bye, Dave.